Pour yourself a drink and sit down. That's it, get warm now. Sit a little closer to the fire. Did you hear that outside? That's a real nor'easter. Wouldn't want to be caught out in that. Where did you say you were heading? Jerusalem's lot. Well, I'm sure glad I caught you before you got any further. You don't want to be going to Jerusalem's lot. You don't even want to be passing through Jerusalem's lot. I'll tell you why, but you probably won't believe me. The lot went bad. Some say it's full of vampires. One for the Road is a short story by Stephen King, first published in 1977 in an issue of Maine magazine and later in the short story collection Night Shift. If Jerusalem's Lot, which we talked about last time, acted as a prequel for Salem's Lot, then One for the Road is the sequel. Both stories were featured in Night Shift, and incidentally, both are included in my copy of the illustrated edition of Salem's Lot. So if you do manage to get hold of that version of the book, you do get all three stories, all of which I think are worth a read and do tie in nicely together. One for the Road is narratively more in line with Salem's Lot than Jerusalem's Lot. Jerusalem's Lot was much more of a homage to Lovecraft and more thematically linked than anything, whereas the events of Jerusalem's Lot could have happened anywhere, and it wouldn't really affect your reading of Salem's Lot. This short story, however, One for the Road, does directly tie into the events of Salem's Lot. So, and although it does, lack the subtext and exploration of themes that the other two stories have, I do think that there's a really interesting story here. Interestingly as well, all three stories that King wrote for this kind of trilogy are told in different styles. So Jerusalem's Lot was through letters, Salem's Lot through third-person narrative, and One for the Road is first-person narration. So our narrator here is Booth, a resident of Falmouth, a village which is neighbouring the lot. And Booth is recounting the time a man stumbled into Tooks Inn during a snowstorm, where it was just him and the bar's owner, Herb Tooklander, drinking. The stranger, who kind of stumbles during a storm, has left his car with his wife and kid inside, broken down in Jerusalem's Lot, and Booth recounts their kind of visit to get back to the car. I'm about to get into some slight spoiler territory now, so it's only a short story, so if you do want to, please go read the short story first if you don't want it kind of completely spoiled by this kind of overview and review. So anyway, here we go. After some cryptic conversation between both Booth and Herb, the two of them decide that they will drive the stranger, revealed here to be a man named Gerard Lumley, into Jerusalem's Lot, although they do warn him that there's strange things are afoot in the lot. Booth recalls to us a night when a local came into Tooks Inn and declared he was going to Jerusalem's Lot and was consequently never seen again. And there's also a lot of scaremongering around town and superstition around the lot. Anyway, when the three of them arrive in the snow-covered Jerusalem's Lot, they find Lumley's car, a Mercedes, and it's completely empty. Herb and Booth try to tell Lumley to leave right then, but Lumley, obviously frantic, wants to search looking for his missing family. He finds his wife and is kind of transfixed by her and is drawn towards her, and not realising that she actually has fangs, he is then taken by her. Trying to get back out, so on their way back to the vehicle, both Booth and Herb stumble upon a little girl who's asking for a goodnight kiss. Booth is kind of transfixed by her, and until Herb throws a Bible at her, the Bible turns to dust, and the girl is revealed to be a vampire, and it breaks kind of the hold that she has on Booth, and they quickly jump in the car and leave. The car gets towed out the next day, and then years later we're hearing from Booth as Herb Tooklander's passed, and he's still haunted by the events of that night, and also by this image of this little girl waiting for her goodnight kiss. This short story is a perfect little campfire tale, but doesn't quite live up to the other work surrounding Salem's Lot. It delivers for me on cheap thrills and some taut tension, but is very much the slighter tale from the other two stories that we've looked at around the lot. It lacks, for me, the thematic weight of those other stories. There's still some interesting stuff here. The town of Falmouth is kind of very akin to the town of Preacher's Corner. And in the short story Jerusalem's Lot, they both know something bad has happened in the lot and have their own superstitions around it, but there is more of this kind of unspoken fear of that town, and they are kind of content to just leave it be and not travel there, just knowing that something evil is over there. In this sense, we know that maybe Jerusalem's Lot as a town has returned to its almost dormant, festering state. There's also a bit of big town versus small town America that permeates through Salem's Lot, the full novel. This can even be seen in the description of Lumley and the description of his car. He is very much an out-of-towner who's not prepared for the small town way of life. The most haunting part of this story to me is that image of this little girl, the little girl vampire. It's something that Stephen King excels in, which is creepy kids. And I think that, whereas this imagery definitely takes its cues from Salem's Lot and the kids at the window, it also gives us, I think, a little bit of a glimpse into what was to come later in King's work. So I'm thinking here of Pet Sematary in particular. So apart from these little sprinkles of kind of subtext, the story's main function for me is to remind me as a reader that Salem's Lot is still there and that the vampires haven't been destroyed by the fire. They are still there waiting for the next passing traveller. So for me, this is a solid kind of 3 out of 5 star story. It does its job well, but doesn't offer too much below the surface level of the story. If it wasn't connected to Salem's Lot, I think it would be quite easy to forget, apart from that little girl, which, that imagery will stick with you. Anyway, those were my thoughts on One for the Road from the short story collection Night Shift. If, a bit of a slighter video and a smaller video, because it was a smaller, less dense story, so I wanted the video to kind of reflect that. I didn't have as much to say about it. Enjoyed it, but it was very much a serviceable story for me more than anything else. But yeah, let me know what you think. If you have read the story, please let me know what you thought of it in the comments. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching the video to the end. If you made it this far, if you enjoy it, and also may you have long days and pleasant nights. See you soon.